Welcome back to another episode of the Max Stern Podcast. Kyle Stitch here alongside James Finch. And today we finish up our Olympic roster predictions, projections. We're not even exactly sure what we're calling them because it's a combination of what we think versus what the actual country will do. So somewhere in between. We know each episode will get at least 6 players right for a team. This episode, we're covering Sweden and Finland. Maybe a random throw-in or two here or there for other European countries. Previous 2 episodes, if you missed them, Canada was first, U.S. was second. Available on all major podcast platforms, Max Stern Podcast. If you're looking for our content, it's on X, Blue Sky, Threads, at AFP Analytics. Appreciate you following there. You can also, if you appreciate our work throughout the year, give us a contribution through our virtual tip jar, Buy Me a Coffee, available on our link tree, pinned with all those profiles. It's enough of this intro. Let's get into 2 more European teams. We can't call them Scandinavian because they're not both Scandinavians. The Finns are not Scandinavians. So the cold Northern Europe teams.
Northern Europe.
Which ignores Norway, who's also in the tournament, but I think they are.
I don't know. They aren't part of
Okay, they are not in
ABC.
it. Denmark's in there. Norway is not.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways.
6 players.
Guaranteed.
Team Sweden, 6 players guaranteed. 4 forwards. Adrian Kempe, Gabriel Landeskog, William Nylander, and Lucas Raymond. 2 defensemen, Rasmus Dahlin and Victor Hedman. So those are the 6 guaranteed names, unless there's an injury.
Yep.
Guaranteed names that we will not be changing for our rosters. And pretty much everything else we say is an educated guess.
Yep.
To varying levels, because some of them are very obvious.
Yeah.
Most of them are probably very obvious. Similar to the last 2 episodes for Canada and USA, this episode I'm going to read off a list of a projected roster from earlier in the season. And with that, we will start with the goalies for Team Sweden.
I feel like both times I've just given like 5, 6, 7 names of possibilities, and we've kind of went from there. So in tradition, I'll do that for Sweden as well. For me, there's 5 potential considerations. You can add anyone I might be missing, but Allmark, Markstrom, Wallstat, Ersson, Gustafsson. Philip Gustafsson.
I don't have Ersson. I have the other 4.
Okay. He's close. To be fair, I don't have him on my roster, but I think he's played well enough this year for Philadelphia that he at least deserves a mention. He has at least played his way somewhat into the conversation. The only other Swedish goalie that is not making it, but Arvid Soderblom, Chicago, is another kind of has played a little bit into a conversation, but I think you're choosing 3 of 4 of Allmark, Markstrom, Wallstat, Gustafsson. To me, it comes down to the 2 which Minnesota goaltender do they keep?
Really?
That's what it came down to for me.
Okay.
So I have Allmark, Markstrom. You sound like you do not have probably Markstrom, I'm guessing.
I don't have Ullmark.
You don't have Allmark.
He's been arguably the worst goalie in hockey this year.
I know.
And even Markstrom hasn't been great this year, but he's been fine. And the Minnesota goalies have both been very good.
I just don't see Sweden leaving off their 2 veteran, long-time stalwarts and net. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Well, so I don't know. I see Markstrom making it, and then Gustafsson and Wallstedt just from play. If it wasn't such a far drop for Ullmark, but he's literally been arguably the worst goalie in the NHL.
Yeah, I just don't see him getting left off. So then again, and same with Markstrom. Do I think again, this is am I constructing the roster or am I telling you what I think's going to happen and I kind of fell in the middle. I don't disagree with your opinion here. I might put both the Minnesota goalies on. I just don't think it happens.
Yeah.
So of the two Minnesota goalies, I actually chose Jesper Wallstedt, who's got the hot hand right now. Would not be shocked if Gustafsson gets the nod, though, given that he is the still considered the top goalie on his team.
So that's very interesting to me because I would argue of the four, I'd be most comfortable with Gustafsson, of like knowing what I'm getting.
Yeah, I again, I don't think I disagree. I think this is where I kind of put my what do I think Team Sweden's going to do. It really could be Gustavs. I think Wallstad's my pick, and then the other two are kind of like what I think Team Sweden's going to do. So
Okay. Yeah. I guess they could keep Olmark there. I don't know how you. I don't know. I don't know.
I'd be borderline shocked if Allmark was not on the roster. And again, knowing how he's played this year, I would be borderline shocked. I think Sweden's goalie situations of the big four nations that were in the four, I think theirs is the most unresolved.
Yeah.
I think all the other ones we pretty much know who two of the names at least are going to be, and then it might be a little bit of a debate for a third name. Sweden, I think, could be any combination of three, four, five names. Well, I guess three names, but anyways. So we disagree on goalies. I think we're gonna have more disagreements on Sweden than maybe some of the other rosters, which is kind of funny.
Going to the forwards.
Yep,
All right. Jesper Bratt.
no brainer.
Yeah, that's a very easy one. Leo Carlson.
No brainer at this point.
Very easy one. William Eklund.
I do not have William Eklund on the roster.
Okay. I will say I'm iffy on Eklund. I have what I would say is maybe three other names that I would consider for his spot. And it kind of, maybe two other names. And it really just depends what you're looking for with them. But we'll get back to that.
Yeah, I don't have a spot at all for Eklund.
Okay.
Going back to past episodes, tried to make a lineup 1 through 4 where players slot in where they make sense. To kind of narrow down, I had a filter for this 50% goal Corsi for and expected goals for. I had higher standards for the other two countries because bigger pool, Sweden a little bit smaller pool, but Eklund doesn't hit those again. I don't see him in. I don't have a top six role for him, and I don't love him in
That's
a
fair.
bottom six role. So
Joel Eriksson.
yes,
I I get why they announced Landeskog a while ago. This was one name where I was like, he could have been part of the announcement. There's a couple other that are about to come. Well, really, another one that I think should have been.
Brott should have been.
Well, yeah, and you, well, at the time of the announcement, not Carlson, Leo Carlson, I
Yeah.
should say. I more bring that up with Eriksson as he's just kind of like that's a clear expectation, I think, at this point that he is on Team Sweden.
Yeah, he's just too well rounded
Yeah.
of a player. Like he can play top six, and he's absolutely equipped to play bottom six role.
Yep.
Great defensive center. Yeah,
Philip Forsberg,
yeah, no brainer.
no brainer. William Carlson.
I do have him as kind of one of my extras. I think he was maybe my last one on.
Okay.
Very, very close. But again, enough diversity that I think you could slot him in definitely in the bottom six, maybe a little bit higher, or bring him in the bottom six and push someone else up. I think
Yeah.
that enough, but he was tight for me.
I'm with you there. He was someone who I initially kind of set aside as okay, maybe his spot could be available, but I ended up being able to keep him in there. Elias Lindholm.
I do not have Lindholm.
Neither do I.
He was, I think he was my first off. He was my last cut. I can confidently say he was my last cut.
Okay. Nylander was announced. Elias Pettersson.
Kind of surprised he wasn't announced already, but yes.
Okay. Yeah, I pretty easily have him
Like,
in there. For all the drama and everything that's happening in Vancouver, he's still a good
yeah,
player.
yeah.
So yeah, that's a fairly easy one. Lucas Raymond was announced, so obviously he's in there. One name I was almost a little surprised to see this name. I guess there was a little hype around him last year, but this year it hasn't been going so well. Fabian Zetterlund. I don't have him.
Yeah, he was on my honorable mentions, but yeah, I there's definitely names that I would take above him.
He's not in my honorable mentions even.
I don't think he doesn't. I don't have him coded that he hit my filters. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I think he's an honorable mention because he's enough of a name in the NHL. But I yeah, I don't think he's anywhere close for me.
And last forward on this projected list is Mika Zibanejad.
I do have him. I think he's too good of a goal scorer to leave off.
Yeah.
I have him as like a third line winger,
Okay.
but just
I
yeah.
could see that there's enough centers on this roster that you could push him to the wing. And honestly, with if you've been listening to us for a while, you know that we're probably pretty comfortable with Zibanejad moving to the wing. So that makes sense that that's where he is for you.
Yeah, I gotta say, sweet. So we've hit all the guys that I kind of slide in Sweden's top nine.
Yep.
It's pretty darn impressive. Raymond, Pedersen, Nylander, Brott, Leo Carlson, Philip Forsberg. Then my third line is Adrian Kempe, Joel Eriksson Ek, and Mika Zibanejad.
Yeah.
Like that's a really strong, and I don't even have Gabe Landeskog in any of those top nine spots.
Yeah. They're a pretty good team, and like their honorable mentions, it's not for me. It's not like star players, but it's important pieces to certain teams.
Yeah, they have enough next men up where if there is an injury or two, they still are putting a pretty strong roster out there.
So I kind of want to talk about the we went through the projected list. We each had some names not making it at forward. So I'll give you a couple names I for sure have in. First one, Marcus Johansson from the Minnesota Wild. Having a very good season, essentially like second line forward for them. Versatile. That's all kind of lands him on this roster for me.
He met my filters, but I did not put him on. Probably slot him right behind Lindholm as like the 27th guy.
Okay.
But I don't disagree with your logic, and I think it's just because again Sweden's forward group is very very strong.
To me, he would be an extra and kind of the just plug and play of wherever someone gets hurt, he can pretty much fill in.
Would not be surprised to see his name on the roster, and don't think that would be a bad idea by any means. He's still playing at a very high level.
The other forward I have for sure here. I'm gonna start with a thought process a little bit. Four Nations, there was a lot of extracurricular activity on the ice, and that was mainly the U.S. and Canada. I think Sweden could use a little. I don't know. You still want good players, but a little snarl, someone who's gonna skate around hitting people a lot
Okay.
and who's actually very good. Emil Heineman.
I have him as well. Yeah. I had saw some of the names you had. I'm like, yeah, I probably should look at him a little bit more.
From a metric standpoint and just physicality was something I was specifically looking for Sweden because they don't have a ton of it up front. That was a very easy one to pencil in for me.
Yeah.
He hits people, and as dumb as that sounds, like you need a little bit of that when you're playing in games where the intensity is as high as it is.
Historically being a relatively small time because he's still quite young.
Yeah.
Very good defensive
Yep.
impacts.
On an Olympic team like this, what you want from a fourth line, ideally, is to be good defensively. And at this point in time, the way the past international tournaments have been, a little physical. And he
Yeah.
checks both of those boxes.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I also have him on my roster as part of my fourth line.
Okay, so I essentially put Johansson in for Lindholm and Heineman in for Zetterlund. That would bring me back to William Eklund, and this is where I'm a little undecided. I think if you want youth, speed, kind of talked about in the Canada and USA episodes. If you want a little bit of a spark, like as an extra coming in, maybe he's kind of the young, quick guy that could do that. But I could also see them trying to go a little more specialized with this roster spot, especially if it's an extra. So I have two names I want to mention for sure. Mikael Backlund from the Flames, very good shutdown defensive center. If I'm Sweden, I like that specialty. Do I need it? I have Eriksson Ek already. William Karlsson is usually solid defensively and is a center down the middle. Pettersson is probably better defensively than most people think he is. So you're pretty strong down the middle defensively. So that's why I'm a little undecided. Would I pull the trigger on Backlund or not? I could very much so talk myself into it. I also look at this team, and they've got a lot of good scoring players, but I'm thinking power play. Victor Olofsson, one timer shot from the left side, historically very good in that role specifically. And since he's left Buffalo, very quietly has had good underlying numbers defensively. So that's another interesting name that I think they could plan on bringing in as an extra. Maybe he sneaks into the lineup after if game one doesn't go quite as well, and he could hop in just to provide something different. But those are two forward names in addition to Eklund that I would kind of have for my last forward spot, where that's one I'd want to look into more and figure out what exactly do I want to do.
So I have Mikael Backlund as my fourth line center. I have him, Landeskog, Emil Heinen penciled in as like my fourth line defensive type line, hit people,
Yeah.
be hard to play against.
Yep.
he Backlund also is one of the players that hit my filter. We're a little bit thinner here. Olofsson was one that hit my filter as well. I kept him on the outside, just going with another historically well-rounded player who has scored in the past. Ricard Raquel
Okay.
is my other extra. Kind of surprised that his name hasn't come up at all on like the list that you were like,
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't even have him. I
yeah.
had him on a long list, but he did not make my short list.
So he's my reserve. I don't mind the Olsen idea. I don't mind Marcus Johansson. Both those guys hit my filters. Eklund, I don't. I like the spark is definitely fair. I don't know if I see enough, and I think you're hoping Leo Carlson's that spark night in and night out.
Right. So what's tough with Eklund? He's very much in like the. If you listen to our Canada episode when we were kind of talking about could Bedard or Celebrini be a spark, you're kind of hoping that. You're probably not as confident that he can do that as you would be with a Bedard or Celebrini. But it's also a name that in the future you would hope is an important piece for Team Sweden. So I think that could even get him a roster spot, even if he is an extra, just to kind of be around the team, have the experience, and still maybe have an opportunity to play that spark role. But again, like for me, I'm not set in stone on that. I could very much go with a Backlund or an Olofsson instead.
Any other? I got like one or two more honorable mentions. Anyone else that you wanted to?
Burakovsky
Yeah,
made my
that was
list.
one.
Bounce back year with Chicago, playing with Bedard.
Yeah,
He's scoring a lot, and that's gonna get him on a list at least. I don't know if it's enough to put him in. And even kind of when I look at my honorable mentions or potential last spot, I compare him to an Olofsson, where Olofsson's better defensively, and I think has a little bit more of a specialty with his shot specifically than Burakovsky does. So like he's close, but not quite in the conversation for that last spot. Defensively, Burakovsky's not good, so that kind of helps put him down a tier.
I also had Alex Wenberg.
Yeah,
Again, a little bit more of a bottom six defensive type player.
good face-off guy.
Yep. Another young player that I had that hit my filters, so I wanted to make sure I included him. Again, could slot in for bottom six. Noah Ostlund, Buffalo. I didn't expect to include him, but he kind of showed up with being one of the few Swedish players with greater than 50% Corsi
Yeah,
and expected goals. So needs to be mentioned. Is he going to make the team? Highly doubt it. Maybe next time around he's a player. He's taking like Mikhail Backlund's spot, but yeah, wanted to highlight him at least.
yeah, he's been good for Buffalo so far this year, and yeah, I think it's just one of those situations where he's too new to the league, too much of a rookie in a way, and
Yeah.
because there's not an elite level of scoring there yet, probably not this year, but for sure someone to keep an eye on for the next tournament.
Yep.
Anyone else at forward?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, I'm going to move to the defenseman here, and I'm trying to decide because the first name on the list I have kind of a long thing with. I'll just
Probably
say,
should start with the two locks.
okay, yeah, two locks: Rasmus Dahlin, Victor Hedman. So those guys are for sure in the tournament, assuming they are healthy. Hopefully they are. Rasmus Anderson. I am iffy. I lean heavily towards no, but there's one reason I think he could be there, and it's the fact that he's a right shot.
That was so the blue line for Sweden finding matching handedness is very, very difficult. Rasmus Dahlin is very comfortable playing the right side. We've seen that in Buffalo enough times.
He has Four Nations. Brodeen played right side a
Yep.
bit. So there's guys that have done it, but you're absolutely correct. There are not really right shot defensemen to choose from for Sweden.
So where I concerned myself with handedness for the U.S. roster, I kind of said to an extent, screw it for
Yeah.
Sweden. In my starting six for Sweden, I have one right shot defenseman, and it is not Rasmus Anderson, but I did put him on the bench for that reason. So he makes my
Okay.
roster, but very barely, and it's because he has the right shot ability. A little bit because he is good on the power play, and the the lineup that I've kind of constructed for Sweden, actually, that's maybe the shortfall on defense. Is after
Really?
after Dahlin and Carlson, I don't have someone to quarterback. I guess Hedman's
Hedman.
fine. Hedman's fine. Sure,
He's fine.
he's fine. Yeah, he'll work. But, but I don't have the same names. I have a lot more guys that you would think of more as shutdown
Right.
guys than kind of offensive specialists after Dahlin and Carlson. And that's not a
Um
knock on Hedman by any means.
okay, so I guess I'll just quickly say Brodeen, Eric Carlson.
Brodeen, yes. Eric Carlson, yes, as well.
Okay. Both of those guys were pretty easy for me.
Brodeen was not quite as easy, but he actually I have as a reserve.
Okay.
I kind of have a surprise sixth name as my in my quote unquote starting
I wonder
lineup.
who it is and if it's the same as mine. Might be.
It very decent chance at it.
Okay, Matthias Ekholm.
Yeah, he's still just so good defensively.
Yep. And speaking of so good defensively, Gustav Forsling.
Yeah.
Pretty easy there. Okay, that leaves one last name that was on the projected roster here from earlier this season. Hampus Lindholm.
Just fell out for me. Just fell
Yeah,
out.
he's on the edge and
Yeah.
not quite in. He's one name that I'd be considering in that Anderson spot along with Anderson, but not the one who actually gets it for me.
If Hampus Lindholm was a right shot, no brainer, he's on it.
Yes, 100%.
But again, handedness puts him on the outside looking in for me.
So if you're paying attention to this episode, you can say that AFP Analytics, James and Kyle are anti Boston Lindholm
Yeah.
propaganda.
Yeah. I did have that thought like what's it going to sound like if I don't put either of those players on, because both are still good players at playing at a high enough level to warrant consideration, but yeah.
Okay, so that's the list of defensemen. So I'm out on Lindholm. You are out on Lindholm. That's where I placed in my like for sure pick that wasn't on this projected list. This is the one I feel like might tie in with who you picked. So I'm going to say someone who used to play for the Oilers and now plays for the Blues.
Nope.
Really? Okay. Philip Broberg makes my roster.
That's a good name on my honorable mentions.
Who's your guy? I'm
S-
very curious.
Simon Edvinson.
Interesting. Okay, I
Yeah.
left him off.
He
He's an
was
honorable mention, but
he
I
was
left him off.
I had 5 defensemen meet my filter criteria: Dahlin, Hedman, Forsling, Ekholm, and Edvinson.
Okay.
So, kind of sticking a little bit to the analytics. Yeah. And he's just very good defensively. So, yeah. I was not expecting to land there, but it just kind of worked out where it made sense to put him in.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to my Rasmus Anderson spot. Did you say you kept him?
He
You
is.
ended up keeping him.
Yeah,
Okay.
he would be a reserve for me,
Yeah.
but yes, I do have him on the roster.
So this is where I was very much not wanting to pick Rasmus Anderson. I would expect it to be him just purely because of handedness. This is also where Hampus Lindholm was still part of the discussion. I went with Oliver Ekman Larson.
Ugh,
I don't think so. He's been fine for Toronto.
I know, I know, I know.
Like he's arguably been one of the more consistent players for Toronto this year. He's been fine defensively, and he plays with a little bit of an edge, which Sweden needs. He's
I,
an extra. He's not starting for
yeah,
me, but
I wouldn't be shocked to see his name on there. If I was the GM, there's multiple players I'm choosing before him. I don't even have him as an honorable mention, but
that's interesting.
my
That's
my
very
honorable mention
interesting.
my honorable mention list is a little bit shorter than most other ones though. But
I mean, I don't have anyone else to talk about. OEL has been good this year.
yeah,
That's very interesting to me that he's not even on your list. But anyways, I think that spot ends up with Rasmus Anderson, and he doesn't make the roster. OEL.
so my honorable mentions that are not OEL because he didn't make it. Hampus Lindholm talked about.
Yep.
Phil Broberg, you have on your roster.
Yep.
Rasmus Sandin, Washington Capitals.
He was on a longer list.
And then again, if handedness matters, and this is where I put probably this player over OEL purely because of right shot ability. Adam Larson.
Yeah, that would be a pure you want a right shot
Yeah.
option because he hasn't been that great this year.
Yep. But he's kind of the next right shot
Yeah.
up for Sweden.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess I didn't really consider OEL because to me he's behind Dowling, Hedman, Forsling, Ekholm, Edvinson, Brodin, Hampus Lindholm, Philip Broberg, and Rasmus Sandin on the left side.
Yeah, I think it depends what you're looking for.
Yeah.
A big part of him being there is ultimately he's been good and he plays with an edge, and they're lacking that.
Well,
Even with him on the roster, they're lacking that. That's pretty much Sweden.
should do a quick roster rundown real quick of who you got.
Bratt, Leo Carlson, Eklund, Olofsson, Backlund, one of those guys. Joel Eriksson Ek, Philip Forsberg, William Karlsson, Adrian Kempe, Gabriel Landeskog, Marcus Johansson, William Nylander, Elias Pettersson, Lucas Raymond, Emil Heineman, Mika Zibanejad. Those are the forwards. Then I would want to put OEL in that spot. I think it's going to be Anderson, so I'll say Rasmus Anderson. Jonas Brodin, Rasmus Dahlin, Matthias Ekholm, Gustav Forsling, Victor Hedman, Eric Carlson, Philip Broberg defensively. Then in net, Philip Gustafsson, Jesper Wallstedt, and Jacob Markstrom because they are the three best Swedish goalies in the NHL.
I've got in order of lines Elias Pettersson, Nylander, William Nylander, not Alex, Jesper Bratt, Leo Carlson, Philip Forsberg, Adrian Kempe, Joel Eriksson Ek, Mika Zibanejad, Gabe Landeskog, Mikael Backlund, Emil Heinonen, William Karlsson, and Ricard Raquel as extras. Blue line, Hedman, Dahlin, Forsling, Carlson, Ekholm, Edvinson, Brodin, Anderson as extras. In that, Allmark, Markstrom, Wallstat. And now we move to their fierce rivals to the east.
Finland.
Finland.
Should be much less of a debate here, I think.
The goalies and defense. So I think let's go through goalies and defense first because I think those fall into place pretty easily,
Okay.
and then we can kind of slug out a few maybe forward names. I think there's enough debate at the forward group.
Goalie, one of, well, first let's read off the locks.
Oh yeah,
So Sebastian Aho, Mikko Rantanen, Miro Heiskanen, Esa Lindell, Yusei Saros, and Alexander Barkov. That one will be very interesting to see because I think that's pretty much an obvious spot that needs to be filled.
correct. It's seemingly yeah.
Would be very shocking if he was somehow able to play.
Yeah.
That would be very quick return from
Superhuman.
Yeah.
But if there's like anyone who could do it seems like he's one of those players that
Yeah.
might be able to do it.
So in net, Saros being one of those that is for sure kept. Interestingly enough, in this entire series of us predicting rosters, so Canada, USA, Sweden, Saros was the only goalie to be announced.
Yeah.
So he's guaranteed on the roster. And then the other two names on the projected list were Kevin Lankinen and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
There's no debate.
Yeah, those are the three names.
We get to like Levi Marilainen and
So
Jonas Korpisalo as the only two other like
that's pretty much, there's a Noonan with Nashville.
Yeah.
None of those guys are even close to this
No.
roster unless someone's hurt when it
Yeah.
gets to be Olympic time.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty easily Saros, Lankinen, and UPL.
Yep.
Defensively, so again, there's Heiskanen and Lindell, two Dallas defensemen from Finland. They were announced as locks. This list also has Henri Jokiharju, Olli Mata,
Yep.
Nico Mikkola,
Yep.
Rasmus Ristolainen,
Yep.
Urho Vakanainen,
Yep.
and it had, this was interesting to me, it had Uso Välimäki.
No.
I don't think he makes it. I think it's Nicholas Matinpalo.
Yes. He
was Four Nations.
Yeah. And again, my 50% Corsi for an expected goals for filter. Only two Finnish defensemen met that criteria. Mikkola and Matinpalo.
Interesting.
Yep.
Here's the other thing I'll say about that too. So Välimäki's been hurt for a while. Even when he wasn't hurt, he was sent down by the Mammoth.
Yeah.
And also looking at this roster, if we want to try to have some sort of balance on defense, left and right shots, Matinpalo would be the third right shot.
Yeah.
After Jokiharju and Ristolainen.
Yep.
So that feels like a very important pick, and I was almost shocked that even after considering he was on Four Nations, like that he was not part of the projected roster. But
yeah. If you're gonna put Välimäki, I think it's almost over Vakanainen versus.
Yeah, but I can't
don't
even
think
do
that's
that.
No,
yeah.
I agree.
Välimäki hasn't played meaningful hockey and
NHL minutes
in
over a year, so that's why I thought the defense was pretty cut and dry.
So did I. Yep. So that brings us to the forwards for Finland, and this is where it gets a little more interesting. So Aho's a lock, Rantanen's a lock, and Barkov was going to be one, but as we said, and as you probably know, he's out hurt.
Yeah.
Extremely unlikely he's able to play in these Olympic Games. That would be extremely awesome, but just insane for that to even be a possibility. Yeah. So we're going to pretend he is out for sure. Mikael Granlund.
Yeah.
That's a pretty easy one.
Pretty easy, yeah.
Erik Haula. This is one I'll just start. This is one I'm iffy on. I think he's in consideration, but he's not for sure on my roster.
I had him as a reserve, but I think I had about 4 or 5 names that I was debating for like the final two. Yeah, the final two reserves, basically the two reserve spots for it,
Okay.
and I some names that I could see over Eric Holla.
Okay. I'm with you there.
But I do have Eric Holla for the record on it.
Okay.
Just veteran experience,
Rupe Hintz.
obviously.
Yep. Capo Caco.
Yes.
Yeah.
I almost forgot about him for a second.
Jesperi Kotkaniemi.
I have him on the outside looking in.
Really?
I
Okay.
do. And again, he's right in the Holla and one other player to be named later. Like,
I'm very much, I didn't even really think about it. I penciled him in because he's a center and we're already missing Barkov. And he's kind of been involved with Finland in the past, but I could definitely be talked out of including him on my roster.
if there's one thing Finland actually does not need, it's centers.
Yeah, they have some good centers.
Yeah.
Not a center. Patrick Laine. He's not on my roster.
I don't have him either. In injuries, like
He's just not
again, I could
good.
see he's historically been a stalwart on Finnish teams, so I would not be shocked. But yeah, I don't have
Yeah.
him.
Arturi Lekkonen.
That one's as close to a lock as anyone.
Yep. Anton Lundell. Yes.
Yes.
Eetu Lustarainen.
Yes.
Mikko Rantanen, we know, is a lock. He would be even if he wasn't announced already. Teuvo Teravainen. Yeah.
Yep.
Eli Tolvanen.
Yes.
Okay. I've got him as well.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna find like I don't. Yeah, he's pretty solidly.
So that pretty much leaves Barkov's spot open. We can debate Howla. You ultimately have him. I maybe do. You don't have Kakaniemi or Line A. I don't have Line A. I did have Kakaniemi, but can be talked out of it. So a handful of spots here potentially up for grabs.
Yep.
So I pretty much wrote this in all the spots. I have Eric Howla plus others. I wanted to make sure I'm not fully forgetting Howla. He's in consideration, but I have 4 other names in consideration here, and I'm curious if you have any of these in your lineup. Atu Ratu.
I do not.
Okay. Considering him mainly has become a solid center for Vancouver, and they're needing more centers in Vancouver. He's not a real top 6 guy, but it seems like he may be a good 3C moving forward for them.
Yeah. Again, I don't think center's necessarily where Finland needs help. So
No, but you can move a guy off the center.
yeah.
Much easier than
Yeah.
plugging a winger at center. Joel Armia.
Yes. I think that he has become a very good defensive player.
Yes.
Would be a good fourth line. To me, him, Lundell, and Lustarainen would be a very good matchup fourth line for Finland.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm actually a little surprised that he was not on the projected list that you went off of.
Yeah, I was too.
So yeah,
Oh,
go ahead.
I was just going to say Oliver Kapanen. I don't
Very
him.
close, very close. But I again, we're talking. He's one of like those 4 or 5 names for those last 2 spots.
Yeah.
I had him and then actually swapped him for another young player.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Matthias Michelli, I think, gets mentioned just because Finland's a little thin, but not.
I actually have him.
Okay.
I have him on my like third line.
Okay.
But again, you want to pull. He's the first name that probably comes out of my lineup. Again,
Okay.
Kapanen, Kakaniemi, Oliver Kapanen. That is
Yeah. Yep.
even Kasperi Kapanen too.
If you want someone to skate around and hit people.
Yep. Again, another like historic, like been in a lot of Finnish lineups.
And has played big games recently.
Yep. I think if Laine's healthy, he probably gets that spot that I have for Miss Ellie. But
Yeah. He shouldn't, but yeah.
yeah.
So I probably lean towards, for myself, I end up keeping Howla in. And I definitely go with Armia for one of the spots. Maybe, I don't even know. They don't really need Ratu. So
No.
lean towards, look at Kapanen and Maselli and kind of say, all right, this offensive skill is maybe a little more.
Yeah.
I don't have a true preference for which one. I'd probably lean Maselli just because he's more experienced.
Yeah.
Any other names?
So my other reserve we haven't even got to.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh prospect in the
Ah.
NHL, Ville Kuvanen.
Yep.
So again, I went by a little bit the filters. Only 4 Finnish forwards had 50% Corsi for and expected goals for. Arturi Lakinen, Sebastian Aho, Atu Lusterainen, and Ville Kuvanen.
So that is a name that I briefly looked at, and I asked myself the question of does a team like Finland, so really one of the big four, do they bring a player who's not established in the NHL? Of all the teams, they would be the team to do that.
I mean, this is a little bit of a hot take, but how much more or less established is Matthew Schaefer?
That's a very hot take. You have one guy getting sent down still, and then
I
you have
yeah,
another
but
who's has
like they haven't played that dissimilar amount of games. Just
metric wise and production wise and time on ice and just
yeah. Anyways,
I think it's very different.
but we're also talking
Very
Finland
different.
versus Canada, and we're also talking
Yeah. You're talking like taking out a Kakaniemi or someone
yeah,
versus taking out who was someone extra, like a
Brandon Montour.
Montour,
Yeah,
yeah, or Dougie Hamilton. Like,
yeah.
it is more serious, but I would still ask the question: do they pick a player who's in the AHL?
Oh
Maybe.
yeah.
I I don't know. That's
He
why I did not choose him.
he. I think I had set of games played filter, so he had played enough to kind of hit that.
Yeah.
So and I'll throw out one thing with Finland too. I don't expect it looking at the names, but Finland's the first team that we could see someone actually playing in like in their domestic league or another league in Europe and up on the roster that we're not factoring
Yeah.
because it could be someone that plays every single international tournament and just leaders like what
Yeah.
Finland is the first country I think we get to where that's
In play.
in play. Yeah, I wouldn't say likely, but
It wouldn't be a huge shock.
especially on the blue line, especially like
Yeah. You can
I don't
find space on the blue
I
line.
don't think it happens, but yeah, it would not be shocking.
Yeah. I don't Koivunen as a player, I do not mind it. It's more so just
Yeah,
like, do they make that type of pick? Not necessarily a statement, but it would come across as bold. It would be enough of a news story within the world of hockey.
yeah,
They picked, which, for all I know, like, I guess spoiler, we're recording this early in December. So by the time you're hearing this, maybe Koivunen's put together a good string of games and becomes a little more of a obvious. And as you laid out, like, some of his numbers would suggest he should be on a list to be an obvious choice. I just simply wondered if he continues to be up and down,
yeah.
does that impact whether or not he gets chosen?
Real quickly, I have one. So actually, let's run through our Finnish roster real quick,
Yeah.
and then I want to present an interesting checks of question. Maybe not super interesting, but go ahead, run through your Finnish roster quickly.
Sebastian Aho, I'll say Joel Armia, Michael Granlund, Eric Howla, Rupe Hintz, Capo Caco, Jesperi Kakaniemi. Um, we'll say Maselli, Lekanen, Lundell, Lusterainen, Mikko Rantanen, Teravainen, Tolvanen. Defensively, Heiskanen, Joki Harju, Lundell, Mata, Mikkola, Ristolainen, Vakanainen, Matanpalo. And then in goal, there's the trio of Lankinen, Lukanen, Saros.
I have Lekanen, Aho, Rottenen, Toivonen, Hintz, Kako, Selly, Granlund, Teravainen, Lusterainen, Lundell, Armia, Hala, Kuvanen as extras, Heiskanen, Lindell, Mikola, Jokiharju, Mata, Ristolainen, Vakanainen, Montepalo, Saros, Lankinen, UPL. So checks in goal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw out some the names, and I'm curious who you're picking, and I assume I know who you're picking as the starter, but I'm curious. Here are the eligible Czech goalies: Lucas Dostal, Karol Vejmelka, Peter Mrazek, your guy Dan Vladar, Vitek Vanacek, David Rittich, Jakub Dobish.
Dostal, Vladar, and Dobish.
No Vejmelka.
He's had a tough year. He is pretty easily the fourth. I could see him maybe going in for Dobish. I think Vladar will get a spot. He's played very well this year. Dostal is the starter, which it leaves that last spot. So maybe Vejmelka gets in there because historically he's been solid, but Dobish is good.
Yeah.
So
That
like,
was
he's good.
yeah. Yeah, he's very good.
So I lean towards Dostal, Vladar, Dobish. That's, I think, what I would choose, but I could see Vejmelka sneaking in there.
Yeah, just a lot more names than I
Then you
didn't
would expect,
yeah
yeah.
in goal for the because then you have like Switzerland who has the only NHL Swiss goalie right now is actually I think there's two,
I
maybe
have no
just one,
idea.
Akira Schmid.
Schmid. Okay. So I will say, with some of these other teams, when I was going through for like Sweden, I'm like, isn't this guy Swedish? And then I look, and no, he's not. Like, I didn't know what Dostal. I didn't know he was from.
Czech
Yeah.
Silva.
Czechia.
Czechia, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And then I realized like the list of names. I was like, okay, they've got some good goalies. Like
Yes. Yeah.
Canada probably wishes they had some of their goalies. Canada has some good goalies, but like
Yeah.
Joe Stahl's making Team Canada
Yeah. Dobish is a
very close to making
yes.
Team Canada.
Yes.
And I guess I'm picking on Canada because for the past half decade to decade, it's kind of been, oh, the U.S. has really, really good goaltending.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That was I think the one that had been looking into as you said, and it's like, yeah, I think that these are there's a little bit of a decision to be made there.
yep.
Not massive. I think most of the other lineups kind of fill in themselves. Like again, after Finland, you're probably
Latvia's got some goaltending.
Latvia also has some goaltender. Shilovs.
Shilov's Merzlikins.
Yep.
I feel like there's one more. Could be wrong.
I don't have it easily in front of me right
Neither
now.
do
So
I.
yeah.
But still, even having those two, that's nice. And of course, Zemgus Girgensons.
Yep.
Miss Zemgus.
Rudolphs, Balsers.
Yep.
Yeah, we probably should have done a Latvian team as well.
Germany is, I mean, has some stars.
Yep. Dreisaitl and JJ Paterka and Mo Sider
Yep.
and one of your other guys in goal.
Who do they have in goal?
Grubauer.
I forgot about
I was thinking he
Grubauer.
was Swiss for a second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grubauer in goal for the Germans.
Okay.
So that kind of wraps up our projections. Real quickly, projections. Just so you're aware, listening. Here's the groups for the international tournament. Group A is going to be Canada, Czechoslovakia, Switzerland, and France.
Yep.
Canada should win that group, but
Yeah.
number 2 is going to be a very interesting.
It should be Czechia.
Swiss have some good players too, though.
Yeah, but
It should be. It should be. But the Swiss have done very well at international tournaments and are not slouches by any means.
Right.
Group B, Finland, Sweden, Slovakia, Italy. Should pretty easily be Finland and Sweden coming out of there. Slovakia's got some players, but goalie is definitely a question mark and just not the same depth top to bottom as Finland, Sweden, or even Czechoslovakia or Switzerland. Then Group C, I think the U.S. lucks out a little bit here with them, Germany, Latvia, and Denmark. Both Germans and Latvians are tricky, but
Shilov's going to take over.
I mean, it's certainly possible.
I mean, obviously, I am rooting for USA. That's where I'm from. But like, I love tournaments like this because there will be a random game where someone just should not be anywhere near the same level.
Yeah,
they are, and it's always fun to see.
Yeah, I guess I'm just happier to see. I think the U.S. has the easiest of the 3 pools. Well, Finland, Sweden.
Potentially, yeah.
Finland, Sweden are pretty clearly.
Is there an NHL player from Italy? From Italy.
Currently in the NHL?
Yeah.
No. Damian Ciara, Ducks draft pick a couple years ago is the closest you're going to get.
Oh, France Belmar.
Yeah, France has a couple. Pierre Edward Belmar, and I think and Alexandre Texier.
Yep. Italy's got Clara. I don't recognize the other names. Some former draft picks, but
Yeah.
all right, now I'm curious.
Yeah, so I'm pretty confident in saying that closest for Italy is Damian Clara as far as NHL players go. I think they are the only one that will not have an NHL player in the tournament.
Don't sleep on Denmark.
No, that's because they have Nikolai Ehlers.
Freddie Anderson and net.
Yeah,
Bjorkstrand, Ehlers, Lars Eller.
yeah,
Lars Eller. Hey, like
yeah,
pretty quickly, all of a sudden, like Ehlers could throw
yeah,
a couple
yeah,
nice passes over to Bjorkstrand, and it's 2-0 Denmark. So
yeah. Denmark's definitely a tougher draw than Italy and France,
yes,
but I would take my chances with Latvia or Germany over Sweden, Switzerland, and Czechoslovakia. Personally,
Latvia's got Rodrigo Abels,
yeah,
Flyers, Uvis Balinskis,
Panthers.
Panthers, Teddy Bluger,
Oh,
Zemgus Girgensons, Merzlikins, and Shilovs both were announced guaranteed
yeah.
goalie tandem. That's nice.
Latvia is a goalie factory.
Well, who haven't I looked up yet? Since I guess that's what I'm doing right now.
Slovakia, you haven't given us names. Yuri
Slovakia.
Slafkovsky,
What is happening?
Miroslav Shatan Jr. and Miroslav Shatan as the general manager. Is Craig Ramsey still the coach of Slovakia?
Don't know. Oh, okay. Just to throw out some names, Peter Solaric. Do you remember that name? He was a winger. I want to say like Boston.
Maybe.
Dalibor Dvorsky, prospect for the Blues.
Yep.
Samuel Honzik, prospect for the Flames.
Yeah. Actually, he's played some NHL games this year.
Yeah.
Has Dvorsky?
He may have gotten called up a little bit, and maybe he's even up now. I'm not sure. Martin Pospisil for the Flames.
Yep.
Slavkovsky, Adam Sikora, prospect for the Rangers.
Yep.
Tomas Tatar.
You're one of your guys.
Yeah, he is. Defensively, Eric Cernak, Martin Faravari, Martin Marinson.
It's been a while since we've heard that name out of Toronto. Yeah.
Yep. Simon Nemec.
Yeah.
Adam Huska. Goalie.
Yeah.
Then they've got a goalie that I guess is playing for Iowa in the AHL, and a goalie for Minnesota Duluth.
Is it Samuel Havalik or something for?
That's the Iowa goalie. Yeah. Yep. That's a projected roster, so didn't realize I was looking at that.
Yeah, it should be a good tournament. It should be. The French and Italians are definitely going to be the two weakest teams. I think the French wouldn't have been in the tournament had Russia been allowed in. I think that's how that works out. So
the Swiss are better than you'd think. Some names: Fiala, Hischier, Timo Meyer, Nino Niederreiter, Dennis Malgin, Roman Yossi, JJ Moser has actually been very good for Tampa this year.
Siegenthaler as well.
Dean Kukin, Columbus Blue Jackets, former.
Pretty steady, yep.
They don't have a goalie.
They have a Kira Schmid, yeah.
Oh, they have a Kira Schmid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Switzerland?
Yeah, Switzerland has a Kira Schmid.
Okay. He wasn't on their projected roster.
Interesting, yeah.
That is very interesting. And I have to do this. There's one more team.
You haven't looked at the Czechs?
Germany. Oh, wait. I don't know if I looked at the Czechs.
So Germans have Paterka,
There's going to be
Draisaitl.
some interesting names on this
Yeah,
one.
Lucas Reichel, Mo Sider.
Dominique Cahoon,
Yep.
Tom Kuhnackel.
Tom
That's a
Kuhnackel's still
throwback.
playing. Wow.
Tobias Reeder,
Still playing. Okay.
Stutzla, Nico Sturm.
Oh yeah. Jeez, how did I forget Stutzla?
They pretty much have Sider defensively, and then mammoth prospect Maximilian Zuber.
Okay.
And then in net, yep, Grubauer pretty much.
I think they also have a couple college kids that might be. Is Zomplant on their projected roster? As we were looking at him for fantasy
No.
purposes, he's a German national, I believe.
But maybe. I mean, this projected roster is from October 30th, so
Okay.
could be in consideration for sure. Okay, last one is Chechia. Philip Hedel, Radek Fax, Roman Cervenka. I feel like I know that name. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tomas Hurdle, Dominic Kubalik, Yuri Kulik. Hopefully, if he's healthy.
Yeah.
Going through blood clots, I believe, right now, which that can be.
I'm not optimistic. That's really too bad for him because he's done some very good things with the junior and for the country, and he's probably not playing.
Hopefully he gets healthy in time, and obviously if not, hopefully just long term he gets healthy.
Yep.
And can come back and play in a few of these tournaments.
That's nothing to mess with.
Oh no, yeah. Martin Necas, Andre Palat, David Pasternak, Lucas Sedlick.
Oh man,
I recognize that.
I think he played with the Sharks for a while.
Yeah. David Tomasic for the Oilers.
Yep.
And Pavel Zacha for the Bruins. Yeah. Gudis.
Yep.
Libor Hajek.
Yep. Philip Hronik.
Oh yeah, Philip Hronik. David Juracek. Michael Kempney.
Yeah.
Defenseman.
Yeah.
Capitals. He was.
Yeah.
Jan Ruda.
Yeah.
David Spacek. Related to Yaroslav?
Probably.
Dobish, Dostal, and Vladar are the projected.
Yeah.
They're honorable mention Mrazek, Vizmelka, Vanacek.
Yeah, Czechs are not going to be an easy out.
Czech team goaltending coach Andrei Pavlik.
Yeah.
Winnipeg, former
Thrasher, Winnipeg. Yeah. This has been Name Some Former NHL Players segment on the Max Term podcast.
That's part of the fun of it, right? And we just have to keep going. One last thing. David Spacek, son of Yaroslav Spacek.
So we could have the son of Miroslav Shatan and the son of Yaroslav Spacek playing in this tournament.
Yep.
And I have never felt so old.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah. Anyways, we appreciate you listening. Max Term Podcast, available on all major podcast platforms. Content, including contract projections, available on X, Blue Sky Threads at AFP Analytics. I think this is our last episode for the year, so we appreciate you listening through the year. We'll be back sometime in the new year. We'll take a couple weeks off around the holidays. We appreciate you listening, and we'll talk to you next time.